Just make sure you have like a way to do it. Don't just do random shit during the week. This one process right here has made a lot more money for myself, for our partners, and increased deal size a lot. You don't want to give them a bonus for being average. You want to give them a bonus for being better than average. One of my clients is actually operating close to 70%, maybe like 68%. I'm doing $2 million because if we have a goal, then we know if we did good or not. Otherwise, we just are kind of floating out in space. Floating out in space is not how you succeed. All right, what's up, guys? So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through 150K month real estate blueprint. Really, like what I'm gonna show you in this video is kind of the scientific method behind like how we're actually growing companies and not really having to grow expenses a lot, but really focusing on driving profit. So I'm gonna show you the model, how it all works. You know, I got the math model, show you the math, give you the marketing, give you the sales, dispo, finances, systems, management systems, hiring systems, all the stuff you're gonna need to basically pull this off in your own business while really like not having to actually like focus on the things that don't matter in the business and just kind of like be able to build out a system that's proven, that's profitable, and what I really believe to be the best wholesale business, to where it's not something you have to really maintain as much, and you can really like let it build around your lifestyle. Because most of you guys want to do here is, you know, have a life, not just work all the time, right? So basically what I want to walk you through is I want to walk you through the math model before I get into anything, right? So the way that this maths out is 150K in rev, and the best year from amount of time I worked to the amount of effort and money we made, that best time was when we did 1.8 million. We were doing what's 150K a month. Literally barely worked, super profitable. Had so much time on my hands to do travel, do whatever. I think I took like 150 flights that year, right? So that is the place that I believe everyone from a lifestyle perspective wants to be. And that's what I've been helping people implement in their business for the last, year. And we've done it 32 times. So basically the big thing is rev at 150K a month, marketing about 30K. This could be a little bit higher depending on, your test budget, but 30K. Commissions, 25% total of revenue. Out of this 150K, you'll pay 25% in commissions, which is 37K. And we'll talk about the splits of what that looks like per position. Miscellaneous operation expenses, 5K. So maybe a little bit higher, might be like 7K. So like add a couple grand in there depending on what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Education, maybe you bought a Salesforce account, you need to pay a little bit more, something like that, right? But about 5K in ops, miscellaneous expenses, that kind of stuff. So your total expenses will be about 72.5K. We're leaving you with a net margin of 52% and $77,000 net. And so this is the model. This is what the math will show you. This is what the math should be. Month over month, will it be exactly like this? Not every month, but on the average for the year, you should be making somewhere around 60 to 80K a month, maybe a little higher if you're doing a lot more of the work, or maybe a little bit lower if you've outsourced more management and stuff. But what I'm going to show you here is all the pieces you need in your business to basically make this model come to life. So the first piece is going to be your marketing, right? And so we want a 5X ROI on about $30,000 a month in marketing spend. That's just the number we want because that's going to be what allows us to really scale effectively, keeping profitability up, etc. So think about it. If I was to take, right now, 5X on my marketing is 20% total revenue, right? So that means I have 20% of my revenue is marketing. If I was to go to a 10X ROAS on my marketing, then now 10% of my revenue is marketing. So that adds another 10% margin to the business. So this can go to 62%. I have one of my clients is actually operating on close to 70%, maybe like 68% on doing $2 million this year, which is really insane. It's because he's just got a really good ROI. Now, on the other hand, if you have a 4X, which would be the minimum I'd say you can allow in your business, and that's going to be 25% of revenue, which means your profit margin will be about 47%, which is still fantastic, right? So I'm very happy with that. But point is, that's what you're going to be looking at is what's your ROAS on your marketing. Marketing channels that are working right now are going to be YouTube, using DealSource, Facebook, using Alpha Media, Cold Call, using Real Assist, and then PPL using these companies. And these are kind of like the percentage points of like how likely it is for them to work. So Property Leads is the best, Lead Zillow second best, Motivate Leads third best, Fast Home Offer I'd say is about third or fourth best as well. It works really well for some people, doesn't work for everyone. What I would do if I was you is I would test these two first, get established with your PPL budget if you're going to do it, and then add in these other ones later. So really I'm going to go through a little bit of the marketing stuff. Obviously like this stuff is pretty simple, but kind of just going to walk through the pros and cons of each channel. And so basically YouTube is going to be like really good for like low cost leads. We're going $2,000 to $3,000 per contract, where it's going to be about 25 to 35 leads to a contract. So it's like a little bit lower quality, but the cost is really low. So it's kind of similar to like a high quality cold call lead from a lead to a contract rate. Just the difference is the conversion from lead to contract is a lot higher. And the thing that I love about YouTube, and if you were to compare it to Facebook, is in one market. So just if you only did Atlanta as a metro, your cost per lead is still going to be about $75. Whereas if you did Facebook, it's going to be more expensive in one market. But Facebook is better if you're doing like 10 markets, right? Or 3, 4, 5 markets at one time, you're going to get a pretty good drop down in your cost per lead just because of going after a bigger area. Where YouTube, you don't get as much of that benefit. You get some of the benefit, but not as much. And so basically, that's why I like YouTube so much, is because in one market, in one metro, it allows you to get super low cost and very high ROI. This is going to be, I'd say, for most people, between 5 and a 10x, depending on how their sales team is, how big their deal sizes are, etc. And some of the big things is like you can just target people who are PPC type people just with a video ad, and it just costs way less because you only pay for a 30-second view. So Deal Source is who we use. So if you want to look them up, look at Deal Source. For cold calling, Realist is who we recommend. The thing I love about cold calling is it's low cost, low barrier to entry. So you can spend $1,200 a month and get like a cold caller and supplement your efforts, your lead flow if you're cold calling, and really still get some traction and get deals, right? The thing that I also like about cold call is you can be very precise with the data. And if you basically, everyone knows cold call here, but you can go after data. The thing about Realist that they do really well is they have data managers who will go and pull niche data for you. And it just works super solid. So, pretty much cold calling is basic. Everyone knows that. Use it. If you're not using it, it's just a good backbone. Direct mail is solid across the board. Personally, outsource it to DM Force or some mailbots. That's just the recommendation. I know I have clients who do it in-house. Everyone has a bit of a different strategy, but the thing about direct mail, it's really good. And what I was talking to a buddy today about, actually, one of my friends who does about 200 deals a year, is the thing he was telling me is dude, they get a 25x mailing everyone they give an offer to. They just send them the same exact check letter like a lot of other people do, and they just get a 25x. So if you can spend $1,000 a month on that list, so that's about 1,000. Let's just say it's 1,000 to 2,000 mailers sent every month. They mail it every month, and they get a 25x. It's just a really good use of your money, and that's how you can take your marketing and you can turn it from a 4.5 to a 5x just by spending your money in a little bit better ROI areas. So, anyways, the biggest thing here with direct mail is it's basically cold call, but an inbound form. You can target. So if you're a flipper and you can target specifically areas, then I'd say direct mail is the go-to. Paper lead, super simple here. If you just want money in, money out, you can be pretty targeted with counties and stuff that you want. Overall, it's pretty simple. I mean, there's nothing really to it. Everyone knows PPL. It's just if you just want to set up something and have an inbound lead coming in and pay triple what you would pay if you were to generate yourself, then PPL is the play. PPC, again, I really don't even think PPC is worth it unless you're doing nationwide. If you're doing nationwide, 10 markets, 5 markets or more, PPC is great because the lead cost is low, but the quality is high. And so that's the same kind of thing for Facebook. Facebook and PPC have similar strengths. Whereas if you're just doing one market, PPC is just going to cost you so much. You should just do YouTube. In my opinion, if you want to do digital in one market, just do YouTube. If you want to do digital in 3 or more markets, do either Facebook or PPC. That's my 2 cents. That's my recommendation. That's what we have our partners and clients do. So that's marketing. You want to make sure you have a system for getting leads that are actually good, that actually convert. And then now you want to build a system that actually converts these leads, right? So I'm going to go through some of the high level things in sales that you actually want and need in your business in order to make this thing work. So look, if you want to make money in wholesaling, at this point, you're watching this video because you are making money in wholesaling. But if you want to continue to make more, the thing you need to do is focus on your sales processes and how to make your salespeople worth more money to you, make their ROI higher. So you need to be tracking their ROI. So it's if they get one lead that costs you $100, how much do they make that $100 worth? Do they make it $1,000? Do they make it $500? They make it worth $200, right? And what you'll realize is your best salespeople will get you the highest ROI on the leads that they take. And that's going to be a way that you can score your team. And you're going to want to start to look at it that way, because if you don't, then you're going to realize there's massive gaps in the way that your team operates. And so for us, basically we had spent, the exact numbers, maybe 125 grand on appointments for this one sales guy. And he only produced 150K. And so if you're stuck with that as being would I trade 125K for 150K? Would I do that? No, of course I wouldn't. Because the best person is turning it into 600K, that same amount. So it's why would I do something like that? That just doesn't make any sense. So the point is you want to look at it and figure out, should I keep this person or not? Because you could be living in vanity metrics of contracts, of revenue, but not actually knowing what opportunities they're taking and what are they turning them into. And so the model that we want to run is we want to run 2 to 4 commission-only sales reps for making 10 to 15% commission. That range, comp plans, we won't get into all that on this thing, but if you have questions about comp plans, it's going to be, you want to give people bonuses to go past where they're at, right? To do better than average. You don't want to give them a bonus for being average. You want to give them a bonus for being better than average, right? So, somewhere in the 10 to 15% range. This number right here, just so the 25% commissions based off a 15% commission rate, just so you know. So, again, if you pay only 10%, you'll add another 5% to your profit margin. Now, I always am a fan of paying your sales reps more. So 12% is what I would pay them if they're doing inbound leads. Unless you can just prove so much volume, then I would do 10%. But Point is 2 to 4 commission only sales reps. That way you can put that money, instead of paying them a guarantee, put it towards marketing where it belongs. And so if anyone here is doing like 30 to 50K a month, hire salespeople and make them earn their stay. Commission only salespeople will change your life because it'll allow you to actually grow the business and not be the bottleneck anymore. And so most of you guys, that's what's happening, is you either are stuck at 50K a month. It's because you can't find good salespeople, which means you just need to do a better job of hiring. You got to level up your skill set, or you're still doing all the acquisitions and you can't get out of that seat. And that's why you're stuck. So if you want to make it past there, you have to get someone to do sales. And that's just the bottom line. That's just the facts. That's just the truth. After that, you're going to have 1 to 3 follow-up specialists who are doing follow-up after. Because again, all the new leads need to go to acquisitions people, because we're not in this world of SMS where millions of crap leads come in. No, this is like every lead's good that comes in now. Acquisitions need to take it. And then once it falls out, then it can go to your follow-up specialist team, who's going to basically be like cold callers for the CRM. Those people will produce multiple deals a week. They should be producing very, very well for you if they're actually good, right? So you should be able to get a massive ROI on this $1,200 a month spent, where they're closing, 3 to 5 deals a month. So 2 cash offers. Let's go through processes. So 2 cash offers. This is one really important thing. This is what we call an offer giving process. So if you don't have an offer giving process, then you should get one, because you need to know very clearly how you are basically negotiating with the seller. And if you go into a call knowing exactly what you have to say, you don't have to think about it. And so what we want to do is, I want to have a first offer max. I want to have a cash offer max. I want to have an MLS offer max if you do those, right? And so basically the way this works is, first offer max is $40,000 less than the cash offer max. So first, let me say that one more time. First offer max is $40,000 less than cash offer max. Okay. Does it make sense? And so what a lot of you are going to be is like, man, well, what happens if the home is worth $40,000? Then don't get more of those homes in your system. I'm partially joking, but also not, because how are you going to make $30,000 on a $40,000 house? So stop doing those deals. In my opinion, that's my opinion. Not some people I know do well with those deals, but my opinion, stop doing those deals. Go after higher price point homes, and you'll like and appreciate your business a lot more. There's only a very few people I know who have success the other way. Not saying you can't, but just saying that it's more challenging. Point is, offer low first, because the lower you offer first, the lower you're going to end. The next offer is going to be a cash offer max. So this is going to be like your wholesale price, or your flip price, or your tail price. However you're underwriting your properties, that's going to be like what your lowest purchase price that you're going to be able to give them, the thing where you're the buyer, you're the one getting it done in 30 days, right? 1 or 2 points of access. It's very simple for the seller. This is your convenience offer, right? So whether you're buying it or whether you're wholesaling, it doesn't matter, but this is what that offer is. And that's going to be very important, because when you go above that offer, you have to change the terms, right? And so if it's $1 over this cash offer, you have to change the terms. You can't just go off normal cash terms, because it's just too much. It's over your number, or where you have to be. And you can't betray the MAO. So if the MAO is 200 and someone wants 205, well, you have to get them at 200. So it's where you need to be, right? And this also allows you to bake in your profit for the deal. So if you say, I'm going to make $35,000 every deal, you just put that in your MAO. And now every offer you make, you're thinking is going to make you 35 grand. So it's very simple. It removes a lot of the guesswork. The sellers will also feel that confidence when you're actually giving them a number, because you showed up prepared, and you're not like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that. You're just when you give them the offer, you have certainty behind your voice. So make sure you do this. Very important. Underwriting process. Another thing, when you're creating your offers and your market values for what you think you can sell for, your ARVs, if I'm going to be selling a property, I'm going to mark the price that I think I can sell it for as a price I can sell within 15 days on market. That's for Novation specifically. But if I'm wholetailing, I want to sell the property in 15 days or less. I want to find a buyer very quickly. That's just the way that's the model we run. You might run a little bit different model, but looking at days on market is very important, because if a property sold in 100 days on market, then that's not a comp. That price is not relevant to me if I'm trying to comp for 15 days on market. So I'm going to have to take a pretty big discount in order to knock that down. And same thing, if something sold for 1 or 2 days on market, well, that's a great sign. And I know that that's going to be a very strong indicator that that's the market value. Right. Next thing is sales process. So you basically need a discovery call script, which is going to be your first part of the call, your diagnosis call. Some people call it a triage call, but basically where you're going to go through and figure out if the seller wants to sell or not. That's the first part. Then you're going to have your offer call script, which is going to be where you're giving the offers. One thing that I was actually it's like a reminder. I was talking to a friend about today. He said, take your top 3 to 5 objections and script out the perfect flow for each objection handle and overcome. And he said when he did that, if there's people who have a higher price, like a competitor who came in the higher offer, they win 6 out of 10 of those scenarios from doing that. So it's major. I'm like, dang, I'm going to do that too. That's really smart. So just a tidbit for you. Always be network, always be learning. But point is, have this all scripted out, because you need to know exactly what you're saying and have it well thought out beforehand. So that's that. that. And then also a process on how to transition from discovery to offer call. Because a lot of times you're going to basically have a discovery call, someone's going to be qualified, and you'll basically be like, well, when do you give them the offer? Oh, well, it depends, right? We'll just make it super clear. If you have the comps, basically put them on hold, go talk to the finance department, do it right away. If you don't have the comps, call them back in 10 minutes or put them on hold for 10 minutes and comp the property and then give them an offer. And you want to shorten that time cycle as fast as possible. If for whatever reason their decision makers aren't there, then maybe schedule it whenever they will be there. If they'll be there within 24 hours, we will schedule it later. If it's going to be more than 24 hours, then we'll just go ahead and give them the offer and then address that overcome later. So that's that dialed in follow-up process. So like your working process, what happens if leads don't answer you? How is that going to be handled? How is it going to be handled if someone's in a cold leads bucket? How are you going to manage the opportunities in the pipeline, right? So this stuff is super, super important. If you don't have a process or even have these things tracked or know you should be tracking them, then like you're going to be leaving things up in the air. Things are going to be falling through the cracks in your CRM, et cetera. And so it's very important to know if someone doesn't answer, what are you going to be doing, right? So how many times are you calling them? General rule of thumb is call them for 14 days, double dial twice a day, right? Put them on a text strip every day for 14 days. So you can adjust that as needed. Maybe the first 3 days, the acquisition manager does it based on his capacity, and then the follow-up manager, follow-up specialist does the rest. It's up to you on how you do that. Cold leads, put them back into marketing every month. Send them a drip text. They should be on a drip text every 30 days, that kind of stuff. Make sure that stuff's done because they need to be targeted because there's leads in there, there's deals in there, right? And so you can segment this list just like you can a cold call list. And then opportunity pipeline management. It's like, how is your sales team pushing people from cold to warm to hot to negotiation to close deal, right? And so, just so you guys know, is like the CRM on the pipeline side, it literally has a few statuses, right? So you got the no-show, basically they don't answer your call. You got appointment set. You got cold follow-up, which basically they're going to sell in more than 90 days. This is what your estimate is. You got warm, which is going to be 30 to 90 days estimated time to sign the contract. Less than 30 days is going to be hot. Then you got less than 7 days. Basically, they said they gave you a verbal as a negotiation. And so we know that we close about 40% of all the negotiations. And so I can look at my pipeline and say, okay, I have 18 negotiations. I think I'll probably get 6 or 7 contracts in the next, 2 weeks. From that. That's literally very simple. It's a very mathematical equation. You can look at the conversion cycle of how long someone's in negotiation to when they become a contract. Very simple. That's going to be one thing that I would do right now if you don't have that in your system, where a projection of when will I get some deals, especially if you're managing their sales team. It's very, very important. And then basically sales management and leadership stuff, we got meeting cadences. So knowing what those should be, basically training processes and books to read. I realize in here as I'm going through this, I don't actually have any of these things listed out, but what I do have is I have them that I can pull them up. So give me 1 second. All right. So we're here on our sales management doc. One thing that I am going to caveat is there's something that I literally learned today. This is all from me talking, just networking through with one of my buddies, is there's a really good sales trick and sales meeting trick that's all accountability focused that I'm going to tell you about. So I haven't implemented it fully yet, but it's going to be a game changer. So basically here's big things. So if you are in Level Up, then obviously you can watch these videos, but the biggest thing is you need to become a leader. So there's some books if you want to become a leader, let's go over this, is and all this stuff Level Up people get, but the books, these are 5 books. Pause it, look at it, rewind it, whatever you want to do. These books are fantastic. I would read them in this order too. They're just great books. Honestly, the Dichotomy of Leadership is fantastic. Dysfunctions of a Team, Buy Back Your Time. All these books are fantastic. If you haven't read them, read them, implement them, and then become a better leader. It's your duty. After that, you're going to want to track down the meetings you should be running. So the few meetings you should be running is going to be a morning huddle, which is going to be a KPI review, and then any major seller objections of what's going on for next, and then a role play to end it. We're going to then do a sales train, and that's going to be Monday to Friday. It's going to be every day. We're going to do this 30-minute check-in. Then we're going to do sales trainings. We're going to do this one specifically that's an hour long, 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday. It's going to be at 9:30 to 10 a.m. So basically this morning huddle, we're going to literally have a 5-minute check-in, and then we're going to roll straight into sales trainings 2 days a week. The other days, we're just going to roll into this normal cadence. After that, we're going to have an afternoon huddle. It's 30 minutes. So on Wednesday and Friday at 3 to 3:30, we're going to have an afternoon huddle. It's going to be these things where we just do call reviews, questions, comms, etc. And then on Monday, we're going to have basically we tell our clients to come to Level Up sales training at 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, but you want to have some kind of sales training for people to go to learn and evolve and grow from someone else, because at some point you're going to become, the words you say are going to go deaf amongst your team's ears. And basically that's really it. The meeting that you need to have is every week. This is the one I just learned. And then we're going to implement it with all of our partners and all of our clients, because it's going to be a big game changer, because it's the hardest piece is accountability, right? And so the thing we're going to do is we're going to run a weekly accountability meeting for people. It's going to be 15 minutes. You're going to meet one-on-one with each salesperson in your team. And so in that 15 minutes, all you're going to do is you're going to go over KPIs very quickly. So it's do you claim enough leads? Did you have enough appointments? Did you give enough offers? Did you get enough contracts signed to be performing? So it should be 2 contracts a week is what we care about. They need to be hitting the other metrics because it's just like the requirement it's all proven based on data. So if you claim X number of leads, you will get a contract. So if you claim 18 leads, you will get a contract. So you need to do that twice every week. So you need 36 leads claimed per week to get 2 contracts. If you're not doing that, you're not doing bare minimum. And so it's going to be very simple. Basically like, okay, here's where you stack up against everyone else. Right? So it's going to be not just your numbers, but it's going to be your numbers compared to the team. So it's like, okay, you're here. This is where you sit amongst the team. Basically, how are you going, like you did get 2 contracts or you did not? Okay, well, why'd you not get it? Or how are you going to improve? Like, what are you going to do next? Basically, and we're going to have a whole conversation just about what their plan is and what they're going to do, right? So that's going to be like 5 minutes, first 5 minutes of what's going on. And then after that, we're going to go through pipeline. So their pipeline is like, do they have enough people in the pipeline? Is their pipeline big enough? How are they going to hit quota this week? How are they going to build their pipeline to be bigger? What things they need to do, right? So we're basically going to be going through all those things. And if for whatever reason, their numbers aren't actually there, their numbers not there and their pipeline's not there, then we're going to have to go into, hey, what are you actually doing on a day-to-day? Like right now, like, you kind of leave me no choice. Like your numbers are off. And, like your pipeline's not there. Like you kind of leave me no choice, but cause it's not cool for me to like sit here and like let you fail. Right. It's like, what does your like daily activities look like? And then like, just go through and like, what are they doing? How are they spending their time? You're gonna go through that whole thing and then create a game plan, be there to support them to get to their goals, etc. But this is a kind of accountability conversation where you're putting it in their court to fix it. Right. So that's like going to be the game changer because that accountability piece is going to be major for anyone you have on your team. So make sure you do that. So those are the meetings. Those are the training processes. Those are the books to read. Just make sure you have like a way to do it. Like, right. Maybe you don't use ours, but just have a way to do it. Right. Have meeting cadences written out, have a training process. Like, how do you come up with your weekly agenda? Don't just do random shit during the week. Have a theme to the week. From those weekly accountability meetings, what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, everyone's struggling with X. We're going to train X all week. We're going to get really good at overcoming objections when people say, I have other people involved. I have an offer that's higher than yours. We're going to get damn good at that this week. We're going to master it. And then next week, we're going to try something different and we're going to evolve that way. And so you want singular focus on one individual thing. And that could even just be following the process, right? It's whatever it might be. So point is, make sure you have a training process. Dispo. All right. So 1 to 2 Dispo reps, commission only. This is 7 to 10%. You could give them accelerator, but this is what we're basically advising. Some people, including myself, pay Dispo reps a base salary. I think it's okay. I would rather put that money towards marketing and pay on the back end, me personally. So that's my thoughts. I would look to pay someone like this because you want to be a salesperson at the end of the day. You want to be sales. Maybe you can pay them a little bit more if they need it, but I think like generally your volume at this point, they should be making, 10 to 15K a month. So somewhere in that neighborhood. You're also going to have one Dispo admin who's going to be about 500 to 1500 a month, depending on where you source them from. This person's, we'll talk about their role, but basically this person's going to be like the junior Dispo. So like they're going to basically get everything prepared for the property being sold to where people get to the house. And then when people get to the house, the Dispo person is going to take over and they're going to do all the negotiation. So that's going to be basically how it works from a high level. And then we recommend let's pay it to close TCs like $425, $450 per close. Her name's Melissa. Basically, you only pay when the deal closes. You don't have to pay any upfront. She's actually good. You get a dedicated rep. So that's who we recommend. That's who our partners use, all that kind of stuff. So here's her phone number actually right here. If you want to hit her up, tell her I sent you. And then big things is going to be looking at this one process right here has made a lot more money for myself, for our partners, and increased deal size a lot. And so the whole point is when you get a contract, what you want to do is you want to look at who is the best, ask yourself the question, who is the best buyer for this house? Who is the best buyer for the house? Okay, well, I have this house that needs a ton of work. There's only 2 options. It's going to be either a flipper or it's going to be me rehabbing it and selling it to a retail buyer. And so you have to determine if flipping it, you have the time, capacity, bandwidth to not lose out on the rest of your business, to have a positive ROI on your time to do that if you don't have the systems for it, or, leverage it out to a GC that and make, an extra 30 grand, get some more flips under your belt, whatever, partner with a flipper, whatever you can do if you want to sell it and make more money. That's ultimately going to be what you can look at to like, how can you make more money? Or it's like a house that's already move-in ready, right? If it's move-in ready, well, I'll tell you firsthand, you're not going to wholesale that to a flipper. The best buyer for that's a retail buyer, someone who's going to live at the property. And so how do I get it to them? So I need to novate it or I need to wholesale it. Those are the 2 options. That's how you get it to the retail buyer, right? And so it's very, very simple. But if you don't take the time to look at and ask yourself, how do I get it to the best buyer? And how much more is that going to make me? And is that worth it? Then it's not, you're never going to like actually see those big hits. Because if you can take, like sometimes cash now is good, right? But if you have your business in a decently healthy spot where you have 3, 4, 6 months of cash in the bank, which most of you guys should, especially if you're only spending, like a small amount of money. But point is, you want to be in that kind of environment where you can float pushing a deal down the line for a few months to make a massive profit, right? And so for us, that was a major thing, going from 700K to 1.8, because we were able to increase our deal size a lot by doing some wholesales and really getting some large deals in there, 60, 70, 80K rips. And that you don't get that from wholesaling to a cash buyer. I'll promise you that, not very often at least. So that's going to be one of the big things you can look at is how do I do that, and challenging yourself to make it happen, right? The other thing is I believe closing your deals, closing MLS deals is going to be something that you have to learn. So how do you talk to agents? How do you negotiate with agents? And how do you set expectations to agents, title, lenders, sellers, et cetera, to make these things go through smoothly? And so if you have any of these hiccups and you don't have a process for it, then it's very simple. Make a process for it and build it out. Retrade process. How do you renegotiate with sellers? Well, if you don't know how, then you probably could Google online. I know I have multiple videos on how to do that online, but basically it's how do you basically tell the seller, set their expectations to be lower. As soon basically do your seller a line call after you get pictures. Set the expectations when people go out to the property and tell you they need to be at a lower price. How do you go back to the seller and have that conversation, right? You're just going to go back and have a conversation with them, tell them you need to be at a lower price, et cetera. But you just need a process for it, right? And the reason you may not have a process for it is because you maybe have never done it. But I promise you, it's normal in every retail transaction to retrade. I literally every single time. That's just the way the world works on the retail side. So, it's not anything major. You don't want to lock up bad deals, but these sellers need to sell a lot of times, and you getting retraded is often going to be exactly what happens. They're just going to sign with someone else for a lower price to get it done. So point is, it's not the worst thing. You don't want to make a habit out of it, but having a process for it will make you more money. And then I think wholetailing or flips is going to be super important. So having an underwriting process, using risk management to making sure your downside is not fatal. Your downside is something you're comfortable with, and true worst case scenario. We are eternal optimists as entrepreneurs. I'm one of the worst, but understanding very clear how to manage your risk and your exposure to the market. It's if you're buying a house in July and you're thinking you're going to sell it in November, let's just say, well, no, the market's going to go down a lot. So take that into account. That's just seasonality. That's normal. And so just make sure that you're underwriting that in. You're making sure you're managing your risk. You're looking at all the different factors, because I promise you, whatever you think you're going to make in the winter, you're probably going to make about half on a wholesale. That's just the truth. You're always just going to sell it for, a few percent less than what you think, 3 to 5%, just the facts. So that's that, basic things just a process, how do you do this? So talk to people who are doing it, build a process based on theirs, and, iterate. You need to learn how to raise private money. Just talk to rich people. The meetings you need to run, big meetings on the Dispo side are going to be your weekly pipeline meetings. So on this meeting, what you're going to really focus on is looking at each of your deals and having them basically how do I get it to the next stage in the statuses on the Dispo status? So, it should be your Dispo statuses are going to be new deal on hold, meaning that it can't be dispo because it's got title issues or something else is going on, probate, whatever. You're going to have pending pictures. You're going to have pending underwriting, pending marketing. You're going to have walkthrough period. You're going to have buyer inspection period. You're going to have buyer post inspection period. You're going to have contract sold or closed won. You're going to have memorandum filed or canceled lost. In each of these stages, basically tell you the next part in the dispo process, at least for us, how we do it. And so, once you finish the stage, you enter the notes in the CRM the right way, and you move to the next stage, and to the next stage, and to the next stage. And so you want to create that same thing and just ask yourself, how do I move this to the next stage? Why is this not in the next stage? Why do I not have a buyer for this? Why is this not listed? Whatever. And you'll make a plan to get it. And you want to do this every week to just make sure you're pushing deals forward at the rate they should be. Really, you could argue having 2 touch points a week, potentially, depending on how many deals you have going on. But you just want to make sure you're moving deals at the right pace. You should not have a bunch of inventory sitting. For one person selling deals, if you have more than 5 deals for sale, means your deals are overpriced more than likely. If they're just not selling they're just not selling week by week, then your deals are overpriced and you should lower them. You should be looking at that frequently, because a lot of these deals, when you list them, especially if you're listing on the MLS or selling them off market, you should be selling them right away. So it's my friends who are selling off market deals at a high level are selling them within the first day of selling, of putting them on the email list or putting them on the investor list. And if you are selling on the MLS, you're going to have offers, or not offers, excuse me, you're going to have interest, people wanting to go see the house the first day. And that's just knowing that you priced it right. So you got to make sure you do that. The other piece is going to be a monthly deal review. And so I like to look at all the deals that I close that month and look at actual versus target profit. And if there's one thing you can do on all your deals, is just put a target profit number on there. And so say I think I'm going to make $30,000 in this deal. Because here's the thing. When I realized this, when I asked one of my team members, I said, hey, do you feel that $30,000 profit on 123 Main Street was a good deal? And they're like, well, yeah, I do think so. And I was like, okay, well, I feel when we looked at the target profit, it was 50K. I don't remember the exact number, right? But let's just say in this example, it's 50K. It was 50K. And they're I was like, so if the target profit was 50K and we made 30K, do you think that's that was a good deal. And they're like, well, not as much, right? So the point is, like, if you make $30,000 on a deal you thought you're going to make 20K on, then that's a fantastic job, right? Dispo did a good job. But on the Dispo side, if you made 30K on a $50,000 target profit deal, then you didn't do a good job. And Dispo's job is to basically like make sure here's the bar for where we should be. And Dispo's job is to get to that bar, right? And maybe push past it, right? The point is, like, the biggest profit slips in your business are on the deals that are actually good. Because what you'll do is you'll have someone will want 10K off for a concession, and you'll just give it to them because it's a 60K deal. I just want to get it done. But what you should do is you should negotiate it like it's a 5K deal, because every dollar matters. And if you do that 10 times a year on, and you save 5K per deal 10 times per year, that's $50,000 you added to your pocket. So that's like worthwhile doing. And if you do more than one deal a month, or if you do more than 2 deals a month, like, you're going to be able to save a lot more from doing that. Right. And so this is a profit leak in the business. So financials, biggest things you're going to want is you got a monthly P&L. Like, if you're not tracking your books on a monthly basis, send me a DM, send me a message. I'll get you set up with my guy. I'll send you our CFO sheet, whatever. Just message me on Instagram at chandlersaine, and I'll get you set up, because like that's a must do. It's like not that expensive. Then we got KPIs, cash projections for the business. We want to make sure that we're projecting the business out each month. How much revenue are we going to bring in? How much cash are we going to bring in? How much cash we have going out? Are we going to be in a good spot? Are we going to be able to keep investing, et cetera? Our KPI manufacturing line review. So like all of our net leads, appointments, offers, contracts, sold deals, revenue, all those things, average deal size. I want to be looking at those things monthly to figure out what's going on. I want to look at my cost per lead, cost per appointment, cost per contract, cost per deal, my ROAS per channel, my ROAS per employee, my cash conversion cycle per channel per deal, right? And so this is going to be very important, because if you look at this every month, then you're going to stay on top of things. And so you have to review it, because you don't know what's working. Otherwise, you have to plan and project for the next month, because otherwise you don't have anything to compare to. And so we're always reviewing relative to our goal. And that's why it works, right? And that's why things improve, because if we have a goal, then we know if we did good or not. Otherwise, we just are kind of floating out in space, and floating out in space is not how you succeed. So another thing too is we help people with how to pay themselves. So if you're not paying yourself in your business and you're just reinvesting everything, don't do that. Hermosi made a great video on that, basically saying suck the business dry every month. And so my thought on what that means is like how to pay yourself is 80% of net profit each month I pay myself. 20% stays in the business. Pretty simple. System. So basically we recommend HQ Flow. If you want to use HQ Flow, it's basically our CRM that we built out. It's really solid. You can message me on Instagram. It's just a good CRM. Honestly, everyone's using it. It's super, super easy. It has all the automations, all the different pipelines, all the different lead views, everything you need. A Dispo pipeline so you can organize your deals, KPI tracking, websites, call recordings, the whole nine. It's the best thing that we have. Obviously, we're biased because we made it, and it's our CRM that we use internally. So yeah, it's just like the best one, in my opinion. Super affordable too. It's way cheaper than like Close or a lot of other CRMs. Cool. As far as managements, all the different meetings you need to go through. So, daily huddles, just meet with your team in the morning, right? Go through KPIs, go through expectations. Weekly L10, read the book Traction, do the L10. Quarterly annual planning, same thing. Just do it, right? And so like we have a sheet on like how to do it. If you want any of these docs, you can message me on Instagram. I'll shoot you them over. But basically like make sure you're doing these meetings, because these meetings right here are going to push the business forward, right? You're going to have the right communication cadence. You're going to have the right frequency. If you have management, and like the reason is this is for 150K a month business, you don't have much management. There's not like a lot of management meetings you need with managers. These are going to be mainly with staff, right? And so if you have middle management, other kind of things like that, you might want to add some more meetings, right? You want to add weekly pulses with your managers to stay in touch, right? To stay what they're going to do, what they're doing, what they're working on, how you can help them, keep them accountable, etc. Accountability processes. You need to know when you're going to put someone on PIP, right? If someone's not cutting it, put them on a PIP. If they can't fix it, then they're fired, right? Performance improvement plans. How do you do that? When do you do that? You do it when someone's not performing. If someone misses their monthly number, put them on a PIP, get them out. And if they're new, then you don't need to put them on a PIP. You just need to get them out if they suck. Just fire them quick. Basically, how to have accountability conversations. Like you think to yourself, like, man, like one of the things I struggle with personally is my personal bias. Sometimes that's when I'm talking to salespeople is they'll weasel their way out of accountability. So that all starts with expectations, right? So it's like that 15-minute accountability meeting is all accountability, but what will happen in that is people will weasel their way out of accountability. And so for me, what I've had to do is basically set the expectations. Like as soon as I feel it, like as soon as I recognize, like, oh man, I mean, it's like, hey man, like, look, you can make all the excuses you want, but at the end of the day, like this is about your results, your livelihood, you making more money. Like I'm just trying to help you. And if you want my help, then like, here's the numbers, and like, you're clearly not getting to where we need to be. And like, I want to have a conversation about how we get to where you're at. But right now, like, yeah, that's the whole point is we're having a conversation about your results compared to everyone else. And you even told me that your why is to be at X goal. You want to make 10K a month, you want to make 15K a month. And right now, you're not even close to on track for that. The performance you've been putting up is just not going to get you there. And if you want to be held to a high standard, then that's what I'm going to do here. But if you're not going to let me hold you to a high standard, then it's going to be impossible for you to ever get there. And you can have that kind of conversation, right? So it's important to do that. It's important to talk to people and recognize your flaws, your biases. And for me, that's one. It's important to have the conversation about accountability. You need a stoplight report per position. So every position, every person should have a stoplight report in your business, in my opinion, stating their core numbers, right? Their core numbers to get to their goal. So for an acquisitions person, outbound calls, offers made, contract signed, that's all they need. And you can also put talk time on there as well. Every person in the company needs a KPI, a batting average number, right? So it's like, what is their number that they need to like produce? Contracts is for acquisitions, appointments for follow-up specialists, cold callers is leads, etc. Right? Everyone needs a number that they're reporting to because that's their guiding star. That's how you know if they're doing well. And like even to go a step further is your acquisition team needs to know their close rate because their close rate is their batting average. And so people need to know their batting average number as well as their production number, right? So there's the two types of metrics. You have their total measurable number and you have their batting average. You need to know both of those. Then obviously leadership training. So read the book, Buy Back Your Time to learn how to be a formational leader, not a transactional leader. That's really important. Make sure you hire A players. That's going to be for another video. Point is the model is pretty simple, right? So just to really go over it, 150K a month, making 75K a month. You're going to need to get a 5X ROAS in your marketing, spending 30K a month. You're going to want 2 to 4 sales rep, commission only sales reps. You're going to want 1 to 3 follow-up specialists. And then you're going to need these processes. You're going to want 1 to 2 Dispo reps, 1 Dispo admin, pay at close TC. Once you do all that kind of stuff, you're going to need your books in order. You're going to need a good CRM. You're going to need meeting structures, all that kind of stuff. But if you put all these pieces in play, then you're going to be able to make this revenue model, this math model, come to life with proper accountability, with proper management, with proper people. If you have the people right, if you have the system right, and you have the leadership right, then you'll be able to produce and actually become wealthy, have a great cash flowing business, and not just be Excel rich, right? From planning all night. So anyways, hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this helps you guys. If you have any questions about it at all, DM me on Instagram. I look forward to talking and chatting about how I can help you guys grow your business. With that being said, I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hey guys, so really quick, I want to share some results from our recent client survey that we did, where we found that we added an additional $196,693 per year to our clients' businesses. And this isn't by telling them to go and spend tons of more money and bloat their business just to get their revenue numbers up. No, this is going through a simple 7-step process that we call the guide to growth that helps them go and make more money in their business without having to spend another dollar. All we're about. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what this guide to growth actually is here on my screen. All right, guys, so taking a look at the guide to growth, it's honestly super simple because all we have to do is troubleshoot in your business to find out where the actual problem is. And since we've broken it down into 7 sectors, into a wholesale business, into a manufacturing line, lead to net to appointment, appointment to offer, offer to contract, contract to sold deal, and average deal size, all we have to do is understand compared to industry standard, compared to our clients' results, where do you stack up? And then for something as simple as deal sizes, if you're not 10% of median home price, then you should be able to get it to 10% of median home price. So if it's $350,000 like in Atlanta, your average deal size should be $35,000 plus or minus a little bit. And so if you're not, we're going to identify that. And we're going to come down to the guide to growth and understand where the KPI targets should be, what are the core variables, and what are some possible solutions. And we would do something like this, where we'd hand you an SOP and hold your hand and implement it with you step by step on how to buy deals for less, how to sell deals for more, and how to flip higher price point homes so that you can increase your average deal size and release your bottleneck. All we're going to be focused on is growing your company without spending another dollar. And so if this is something that you're interested in remotely at all, where we'd come into your business and show you exactly how we'd implement the guide to growth for you, then all you need to do is go down below this video, click the link to book a call with our team, where we'll walk you through step by step on our roadmap of how we grow your company utilizing our process. So if that's interesting at all, go down below this video and click the link, book a call with our team. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.